So today we have a new feature that we've released in Alphana. I'm really excited to show you. We can now upload reference images along with images inside of your templates. So what does that mean? That means when you take a long form video or any piece of content and you throw it into Alphana and you repurpose it, you could store things like fonts, your logo, different brand images inside of these templates so that when it generates images for you, you can now use those images, the logos, the fonts, the styles inside of the creative. A great use case for that's going to be for YouTube thumbnails. Today, we're going to walk you through how this feature works, and I'll show you how you can leverage this inside of Alphana and how we can make a couple YouTube thumbnails. But again, this applies to images in general, which means that you could create ads, blog header images, and so much more. So I'm really excited about this. We're going to do this live. For those of you that are new, you're joining us today in Alphana. You could take any long form video, a YouTube video, drop it in here and create a wealth of content from it. So I'll show you an example before we dive into the new feature update with reference images. So if I click here on create, now it opens up our create window. And you'll see in here, we've got a couple highlights of different things that you could do, like turning video into short clips, turning them into social posts, tips and lessons, or blog posts. Okay. Now, remember, this works with audio. So if you had an audio podcast only, or if you've got a long form video, you could drop that in here. And so I'm just going to click on add, and I can upload a YouTube video. I could go from something in my computer, local device, or you can connect your Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive. Now, in my case, what I'm going to do is just reuse a piece of content that I've already uploaded inside of my library. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll just go ahead and let's grab this one about Spotify's new partner program, monetization opportunities for creators. I'm going to leverage this video. I already uploaded it. So I'm going to click create. And now I've got the video loaded. And here you'll see that we have an entire template library. And we've got different templates for different use cases, like I was talking about earlier. Templates are essentially going to be workflows, right? Everybody has a different reason for why you want to upload a video and generate content for. Some people want to turn them into static ads, so we've got a template that does that. Another one is their podcast workflow, right? We'll turn those into like title ideas, chapters, threads, LinkedIn posts, and so much more. So in this case, what I want to do, because we're going to talk a little bit more about YouTube, I want to use our YouTube content workflow. This is also a great one because it has a variety of content that is generated automatically with video. So now that I've selected here the YouTube content workflow, it's going to generate like probably over 20 different pieces of content. I'm going to click next. Then I could personalize my settings, choosing my tone, the reading level for the audience, the language, who I'm targeting. So in this case, I don't know, let's say creators, and I could put my do's and don'ts in here if I want to. Click next. And now I have an option to edit my transcript. And if you haven't seen this yet, we rolled out a new language update. Okay, this was maybe 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. So now you could select from a whole wide variety of languages. We have over 46 that are available inside, including like breakdowns from like Chinese for Taiwan, Hong Kong, simplified, traditional, Danish, even English has multiple variations. So we've had a lot of requests to be able to break out, add more languages, and now we've got over 46 that are available in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit English. And when I click generate, we'll let that run, and you'll see that it'll now start generating a wealth of content all at once. Can you see right here? Look at this sidebar. So I just uploaded one video, right? Grabbed it from the library, and now it's generating descriptions, shorts, YouTube thumbnails, chapters, titles, screenshots, email newsletters, LinkedIn posts, and a wealth of other content. So I'll let that run for a minute. Let me just check the chat. Anybody got any questions, feedback, anything like that? Please go ahead and drop that in there for me. Awesome. Look at that. Everything's generating here. We've got our description, our YouTube shorts and thumbnails and images. They're all working on. See, they're all in progress. Look at these, all these YouTube title ideas that I've got, like 3 ways Spotify's partner program benefits creators, or can you monetize your podcast on Spotify? Here's how, right? These are great titles that we can leverage for our YouTube content. An email newsletter, boom, right? Send this out to your entire audience. It's already personalized. Look at this, right? I personalized it earlier and I said we're targeting creators. And you could see here that it will adapt everything to make sure it works for that target audience. LinkedIn posts, a Twitter thread. This is a wealth of content that you can use to be able to just help repurpose your podcast, repurpose your webinar, repurpose your videos into multiple forms of content. This just kind of gets you in, right? You generate all this content. Now I want to show you a little bit with images. And so what I did was I created a new project and I have it empty for now. Okay. I'm taking one of my past Insider Live episodes and I want to come in here and now generate some images. And so for the purpose of this demo, essentially what I want to show you is, okay, when we used to generate images before from the content, what that looks like. And then I'll show you what it looks like when we added this new feature called reference images. So if I come in here and I search YouTube thumbnail, and again, for those of you that are new, I click the add card button here and we have an entire library of content cards. We actually have over 120 of cards, of pieces of content that you can generate inside of Alphana. And we're always adding more. And so if I scroll and I look here, I've got one called YouTube thumbnail multi-style. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm just going to generate it, right? I want to see the output, show you what that looks like before I show you what the new feature looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click generate. Now what it's doing is it's analyzing the video, and based on the video, it's coming up with ideas for YouTube thumbnails, and it's automatically generating the prompts so that it can generate thumbnails for this video that I have. So I'll let that run for a moment. Again, if you've got questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll see what this looks like. By the way, I see a couple more people joining in. Please go ahead, drop in the chat. Tell me where you're calling in from. Tell me your name. I love meeting everyone who jumps on. So please go ahead and drop that into the live stream chat. All right, this will be done just momentarily. By the way, if there's anything that you want me to cover, any features, anything inside of here, please drop it in the chat, because towards the end, before we go into Q&A, I dive a little bit deeper into showing you how to do anything you need to inside of Alphana. And let's see what we got here. All right, that project that we did together, you could see here. Look at that. YouTube Shorts generated a series of clips that I could use. I'm doing this while we're waiting for the images. Here's an example, right? YouTube thumbnail images, all created from this content. Look at that, right? And it even types the text in perfectly, right? Spotify for creators, monetize your voice, or unlock passive income with Spotify, right? These are great titles, great call to actions, great images that are automatically generated. And what's great is that these are unique. They're unique to you, to your company, to your brand, to your podcast. This isn't something that was just pulled off and riffed off the internet. And everything is completely tailored. Like, look at even these quote images, right? Beautiful. It has a copy. Like, this will also give you the most opportunity to monetize existing content you already have, right? And you can see the cat laying on the desk. You got the podcaster. And again, all this was derived from insights directly from the video. Look at this. This is going to make repurposing easier. Uploading to Spotify. Boom. You've got here passive income, monetization, repurpose short form across multiple platforms. So everything are derived from insights that you're getting directly from the source content. All right, I got a question. Let me see. I have tier 1 for Alphana, but I just got the unlimited the other day. Does that mean I can now have as many cards also? Good question. The promo that was there the other day, that doesn't apply to features. They only apply to credits and minutes. So anybody who purchased the additional credits and minutes, those were purely topping up, right? So if you're running low on credits, those credits now would get added to your account. And once they're inside of your account, anytime you run out of your monthly credits, it automatically uses the forever credits. All right, let's go back to this image. Let me see. Here's the video that I uploaded earlier, that I showed you earlier. We added the YouTube thumbnail styles Now look at the 4 thumbnails that were generated for this video, okay? Now if I click in here, you'll see on the left it talks about vague prompts versus clear prompts, right? Now here's what's cool, man. All of this is coming from insights from the video that I recorded, okay? So it's not making this up, right? Clear prompts win. This was a clear topic that I had inside of the video. Another one is the greatest versus challenger, okay? We talk about this inside of the video. Master AI secrets, and here's another one, the ultimate face-off. All right, so now let's talk about the reference image, because we're going to now change the branding of this, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and type YouTube thumbnail, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something here to tweak it, and we'll make sure we deploy the content cards automatically so you don't have to do this. But let's see if I can add that in here. So right here, I'm just going to put, for the brand, make sure to use one of the logos in the reference images and the color scheme style. All right, what does that mean? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to upload from my computer. I'm going to upload the logo and the style in here. And so now if you see, I've got the Alphana logo, but just the emblem, right? Plus the gradient and the colors. So this is the color scheme for Alphana. And over here, if I click on it, you're going to see I have our logo, right? Full white and text all set up, okay? Now, once you upload them, you have to make sure you select them. So if I click here, you're going to see the number 1, the number 2. And what's great is you can have them in order so you can reference them. So that's why now I'm using these reference images. And you'll see in my prompt, I said, hey, for the brand, make sure to use one of the logos in the reference images and the color scheme style, right? Because I want this to be branded inside of here. So let's see if I could let's just hit generate. Let's see how this looks. And so now I added another card. Again, these cards are like building blocks. They're like Lego blocks, right? You could create your own workflow inside of Alphana. So now we're generating another version of this that's now incorporating the brand element for what I uploaded inside of Alphana. And we'll just give that a minute so we can see what that looks like. Do any of you today use image generation? What are you using it for? I'd love to just learn a little bit more. Tell me what you're using just in general, image generation in Alphana if you are. Nice, ebook covers. Yeah, that's a great use case. You know, I'd love to see the ebook covers you're making. You guys got to post it in the community or shoot a message to me. I'd love to see them. Pictures for presentations, awesome. So I see you're using Midjourney and ChatGPT. Definitely I would recommend. You could also use it in here if you want to turn videos into those images too. It's a great use case. But let's put this up here. I'll refresh. Okay, check this out. I've had so many requests where people wanted to put their logo inside of these images. You could do this for YouTube thumbnails, blogs, but look what it did here. It generated brand new thumbnails and incorporated our logo and the color style that I had from the reference images. So here, again, I didn't give it any other instructions. It's using it by, using the Studio Ghibli style or whatever that was inside. It has a call to action like do this now, shocking discovery. So you've got different ones. Remember, you could customize how the prompts, you could customize what you want the text to be, the titles, while it comes up with everything for you. But in this example, you can see how it automatically incorporated our brand colors and the logo inside of the images, right? Now, that's a huge difference compared to these, right? If you look at here, this doesn't have any of our brand elements, right? This yellow color and the blue is not really part of the Alphana brand, right? You don't see that anywhere. But if I scroll here, you'll see that on the homepage of our website, right? So this is now starting to formulate and look even closer to how our brand looks like, right? And this is one of hundreds of different ways you could use these styles, right? So earlier you mentioned that you do ebook covers, right? You could upload reference images of incredible ebook covers, or maybe you have a certain style of an ebook cover that you want and you want it to be consistent for the future ones. you can now upload that ebook cover as a reference, so that every single time you generate an ebook cover inside of Alphana, it's always going to use the same style, but it changes the topic, the title, and those details inside of it. So ebook covers are going to be another great use case to use for these images and to reference the style. All right, I want to do something now, even take it a step further. Okay, so we've got 4 images. All I did was ask it to change the logo and the brand. But if you look at the character, okay, you've got a female, you've got male. So it did a male 3 times, different expressions, but do any of them look like me? They don't, right? So this is more random. It's still cool, right? I think it's still something you could use on a YouTube channel. It's not really pointing to anybody's face. But what if I wanted even the anime style to look like me? So why don't we do that? Okay, we're gonna have a little fun here. I'm gonna come here, type YouTube thumbnail. We're gonna do this again. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and upload those 2 images again. Where is it? Okay, my logo, we're gonna upload the Alphana white logo. You got the color brand, right? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my headshot. All right, so I've got a photo of me. All right, here it is. We're gonna grab this photo. We're like, all right, I want this photo. I want these brand colors and the Alphana logo. Awesome. And now all we need to do is update the prompt. So I'm going to do the same thing. So one is I'm putting in here, for the brand, make sure to use one of the logos in the reference images and the color scheme style. Okay. And over here, I'm going to say, for the person, create different styles. Choose from, you know, I'm just going to write it here, but inspired by the reference photo of the person attached. Okay, that's the only differentiator I'm adding, is I'm like, hey, I want you to use the person that I attached as inspiration for the photo, and I want you to use the brand colors from the logo and in the reference images, as well as the color scheme, right? And I'm going to make sure that I select all 3. So I've got 1, 2, 3 that's selected for this image. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. So now we're going to let this one run. And if everything works out the way it should, I should now see something pretty similar, but now hopefully these characters will look a little bit more like me. Has anybody wanted to ever make their images look more like their brand inside of Alphana? Has that been something you've needed? All right, and we'll let that run. So even while that's running, I think if you think about use cases, you know, you've got everything from style transfer. If any of you run like e-commerce brands or have products, or you want to merge multiple things, like you could merge different scenes into one. Like you could, or if you're like, let's say an interior designer, or you do stuff with remodeling, you could take one image of a beautiful sofa, and then you've got a picture of a living room, and say, hey, put this sofa inside of this living room, right? You could do it with brand colors. I didn't do it in here, but you could take a font that you love, right? Grab a screenshot of a font and say, hey, in the title, I want you to say XYZ, right? Like how to make $1 million in 2 weeks. And I want you to use this font attached, right? That could be an example of how you use reference images as well. This helps you to be able to templatize, because once you do this, the great thing, and for those of you that remember, in Alphana, I could save this entire project as a template. Okay. And when I call it like Sebastian's reference image template, right? And I click save. The beautiful part of it is when I go to click create, I can click now on my templates. Okay. It's not shared with anybody else. And here it is. I've got my template called Sebastian's reference image template that has the 3 image cards that I just generated. But what's cool about it is that when you use that template, right, these reference images are stored already. They're saved. I don't have to re-upload it to this card, right? I only re-uploaded it because I was trying to show you 3 different styles, right? But if you want this style every single time, this will always be saved with a card so that when you generate a new project using your template, it'll already have your logo. So this setup happens once. You don't have to do this 10 times, right? So again, this helps to be able to store that in here so that you could reuse the content when generating images inside of Alphana. All right, let's see. Let me take a look. All right. Ha, there we go. All right. So look at this, right? Big difference, right? If you look down here, all the characters, here's what they look like. But now I uploaded not only my brand colors, not only the logo, but now it took the style of, it took my style as well. From my shirt to the baldness and my goatee and all that good stuff, right? So you could see here, it created a couple different styles. Now again, I didn't prompt it on the title. I didn't make it come up like with a title. I could change all of that, but the whole point is to be able to show you the examples of what you could do. And so now I've got an anime character style of myself inside of here. So I could post this, and even though it's not me, people would know that it's inspired by me if you know and you've been watching my content, right? So these are just several different use cases on how you can use reference images. You know, I'll come in here, I have another video project, and maybe we'll generate one more. And I think what I could do is, for example, let's see, let me look at I'm going to upload this image. We're going to try this live. All right. I'm going to say create a YouTube thumbnail that combines the font from the Good Vibes image with the YouTube thumbnail template in the other reference image. Change the title to you know, how to create content with Alphana. All right. I'm trying this live, so we'll see how everything works, but the good reference image. All right. Now I'm going to select the two reference images, right? So just so you can see what it looks like, I've got this YouTube thumbnail that I downloaded from the internet. Okay. How I make 600,000 as a content creator. Great. I've got that one, but I have this font that says Good Vibes Club. Okay. So I pulled this image as well, and I'm like, all right, I love the style of this font. I've got this YouTube thumbnail. Is there a way to merge them together? So let's make sure I read the prompt. Create a YouTube thumbnail that combines the font from the Good Vibes reference image with the YouTube thumbnail template in the other reference image. Change the title to How to Create Content with Alphana. All right. I'm going to make this high quality and use landscape, and then select 4 images. Very important. The reason I select high quality, it's very important for images that have text. Okay, if you use lower medium, it's more often prone to misspell the words because it's not using enough computing power to be able to generate the content and the correct spelling and everything. So I always recommend uncheck auto, use the high quality version, especially when you've got text. If you don't have text and it's just a nice visual image you're creating, leave auto. It'll come up with the best content that you need for yourself. Okay. All right. Please drop comments, chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Is there a feature? Is there something else that you'd like me to cover? Is there something that you're having troubles with? I'd love to help you with that. Let me see. All right. All right. Everybody's good? All right. We'll just give this a second so you can see what this looks like. All right. Let's go back here. All right, still loading. We'll just give that a minute. Yeah, sometimes images, it could take a minute, but again, primarily it's because it's generating all of this from scratch. So definitely something, let's see. All right, yeah, we'll give that a minute. All right. But yeah, thoughts on these images? Any other types of images you'd like to see? By the way, this works great for ads too. You're trying to come up with ads, find an ad that you find inspiring, upload, and you'll be able to now create and mimic that. Oh, look at that. So today's just taken longer than expected. Usually this happens in under 60 seconds, but occasionally with AI, we're using, with OpenAI, their AI models sometimes could just take a little bit longer than usual. So it happens once in a while. Usually it's much quicker than that. Okay. And I'll rerun it here. And we will upload the two images that I had from before. All right. And click, make sure they're selected, and click generate. All right. Just to make sure, let's make sure this runs properly. So when in doubt, click regenerate. That submits it again to the AI. We'll just let that run and see how that one does. By the way, has everyone, I realized I didn't do an episode on this and I only touched on it very briefly here, but has everyone seen, has been using the new image, the language update? And so I'll let that run, but I think I kind of blew over it pretty quickly, and I want to make sure that everyone, let me just select a video. This was just super important. So if I click on create and I click next, click a template, click next. So I know I blew over this really quickly, but this was a new release that we did. This was a big update. Okay, this makes our transcription even more accurate. We've upgraded the backend models. Not only did it make our existing languages more accurate, but we also added a wealth of other. So before, we used to have everything on auto detection for languages, right? And auto detection really only supported, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 languages, maybe a couple more. But it wasn't 100% accurate, right? It could have detected it as Spanish, but really it was in Danish or vice versa, right? And so one of the things that we did was, of course, you could still do auto if you wanted to, but highly recommend you choose a language yourself. And by choosing a language, we provide now individual languages that our AI models have been trained on. And so, for example, right, there's English, but there's UK English, there's US English, Australian, New Zealand, right? And so the different dialects that you find in here, we literally use different AI models to be able to generate the content from this, which makes the transcriptions even more accurate than ever before. Not only that, but we added a wealth of other languages. Like we had requests for Danish. We had requests for like Chinese and multiple variations of it. I believe Bulgarian. There's a lot of languages that we've added in here that just didn't exist before. So even though we had like 13 or 14 before, it's just opened up the door a lot more. So, if you're Ukrainian or Turkish or Swedish, right, select the language of what your video is. And by selecting the video, it's telling our AI what language the audio is inside of the video before we generate the project. So far I've heard back from a couple people. They're just seeing much better results with their content that's not in like a couple of the default languages that we had before. And so I'm really excited about that, especially for those who are creating content in different countries. So really excited about that. So definitely great language update. Select your language, choose from the drop down menu, and you'll see much better results. All right, so this one finished. Look at this. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember, but I uploaded 2 different images with 2 different styles, and here we are, right? How to create content using the beautiful font that we had, right? Here it is again. It combined the font along with the image. Now this created just a couple variations, but you could see how it took it into account. And just to remind you, right? This was the font. Let me just pull this up. Right? Good vibes. So we're like, all right, I want to apply this font, but to this YouTube thumbnail template. And not only did it take it, it took it, and here it is. Now I could have added more instructions, maybe like, hey, leave some safe space around the area of the video. I didn't do that. But I think everyone gets the gist, and we'll pre-bake those into the cards so that you don't have to do it. But this is just a great example of how to use those reference images. Oh, look, this one did a different variation of it. Very interesting. But it took the font. It just didn't take the color, right? And there we go. All right. Well, unless anyone, anybody have any questions or thoughts, that kind of limits what we've got for you today. And I want to make sure everyone's got plenty that they can now go in and give a shot inside of Alphana. Beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone. This was an episode of Alphana Insider Live. Today, we dived into how to use reference images inside of Alphana. We also showed you our new language update. I appreciate everyone's time. If you're on YouTube or if you watched the replay of this, please like and drop a comment on the video. I can't tell you how much that helps us, and the YouTube algorithm really loves it. So I appreciate your help there. So as soon as we drop the replay, give it a like, drop a comment below. Just let me know what you want to see next week, and I'll be back again with more Power Hour updates to help you out. So thank you. Love you all. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.